Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21 12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz at Baton Rouge Studio downtown in the capital city on this Thursday. Means we're brought to you by Sagrera Farms, premium Angus beef. Got Jacob Beck, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Lots and lots to get to over the next 2 hours. 3 matchups to watch, LSU and Clemson. I'll give them to you coming up in 15 minutes. Going to get some audio a little bit later from Cade Klubnik up there in Clemson. Luke Johnson going to be with us at 2 o'clock talking all things Saints. They're on the practice field again today. And then Chris Blair at 2:15 getting you ready for the Coach's Show and his trip to Clemson for LSU and the Clemson Tigers. We do have a little bit of breaking news is a reasonable thing to call it. So let's get into it with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Okay, so the news of the last hour is the question surrounding A.J. Halsey and his ejection in Clemson, in Houston's season finale last year. I have spent the last 25 minutes diving into this as quickly as I possibly can, learning as much as I possibly can, and I will tell you now what I know. What I can tell you for certain is that A.J. Halsey was ejected in Clemson again, in Houston's season finale last year. They played BYU. There were just under 3 minutes to go in the game. The quarterback for BYU ran a touchdown in, and after that run, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see some of this on the ESPN cut. He runs in from the 7-yard line, and the camera is showing the BYU quarterback celebrating, and a bit of a scuffle breaks out in the back of the end zone. By the time the camera cuts to A.J. Halsey and some of the other players involved in that extracurricular, Halsey is being held back, so he's clearly been in the middle of this in some way, helmet on, and flags have been thrown. He was ejected from this game with 2 minutes and 52 seconds to go with BYU. Now, the box score that I pulled up officially from the Houston site, I went to the game book, which is given to all of us in the press box, and then it's uploaded up into onto the schedule page for every team and every game they play. The box score says the foul is for unsportsmanlike conduct. It does not say in the box score that I am reading fighting. Those are two distinctly different things. Let me read you from the NCAA 2025 rulebook. This is for unsportsmanlike conduct. It is Section 2, Article 1, and you got to go down to J. It says dead ball contact fouls such as pushing, shoving, striking, etc. that occur clearly after the ball is dead and are not part of the game action. And it does say earlier in this that you can be ejected if the official suggests that it is meriting of an ejection. Nowhere in unsportsmanlike conduct is a suspension mentioned in the rule book that I have seen. So you can be ejected for unsportsmanlike conduct. It appears from the rule book that I'm reading that does not carry a suspension. Now, fighting, this is very clear. Section 5, and then you go down to Article 1, and then you go to B. It says, during the second half, players shall not participate in a fight, obviously. It says the penalty for that is 15 yards for dead ball fouls, 15 yards from the succeeding spot, automatic first down for Team B, if not in conflict with other rules, ejection for the remainder of the game, in the first half of the next game. For fighting in the last game of a season, those with remaining eligibility shall serve suspensions during the first game of the next season for which they are eligible. That's part of the penalty clause in fighting. In unsportsmanlike conduct, in the penalty clause, it says ejection. It has no clause for suspension. So that distinction, to me, very clearly spells what this is or what this isn't. As I read this off the internet, now I was not there in Provo for this game, and I don't know if there could be an error here or there. They're going to have to go back and look at this. But if A.J. Halsey was ejected for unsportsmanlike conduct, which it says in the box score, he is eligible in the first half on Saturday. If A.J. Halsey was ejected for fighting, despite the fact that it was last season and it was for another team, very clearly in the rule book, he is suspended for the first half on Saturday. Now, if you're asking me what I think the result of this is going to be, I believe, based on the box score, he's going to be able to play. But I will tell you this. This is news to people in the Southeast. LSU, the Southeastern Conference, this was brought to their attention recently. So there's discussions being had. Brian Kelly meets with the media after practice today. He's got his press conference on Thursday evening, and he'll have his coach's show. He will talk about this today, I am confident. I cannot give you an official ruling from the NCAA. All I can do is read the information that is given to me, the rule book and the box score from last year. I've seen the play. It's not egregious and from what I've seen, but I can't see what actually happened to trigger the event. The only tape that I have, and trust me, all I've gotten from this is, I've looked at this the last 25 minutes. It's all I've seen. By the time I can see, cooler heads have prevailed. They've held A.J. Halsey back. The BYU guys have been restrained. No benches cleared. No helmets were off. There are no injuries. There were just ejections, and A.J. Halsey was one of them. So that's what I can tell you from this point. I'm confident those that are in Clemson Orange are looking at this saying he clearly got into a fight. He was fighting. He should be suspended. If you're in purple and gold, I'm quite confident you will say he didn't even do anything. He was playing for another team. This is unsportsmanlike conduct. Of course he can play. I'm just going to tell you what I know. I'm not going to tell you what I feel or what I think. I'll tell you what I know. The box score says unsportsmanlike conduct, and the rule book says unsportsmanlike conduct does not carry a suspension. That's what I know. Now, let's briefly talk about the impact this would have if he was suspended. If he's not suspended, he's a starting safety. He's a really good player. He's going to be out there playing. There's not really a conversation to be had. If he is suspended, this is the conversation we do have to have. Tamarcus Cooley, which, by the way, I'm told there's a situation with Cooley as well. I'm not abreast of that right now, and I'm on the air, so I can't go up and look it up. So if I find something out in a commercial break or something on Cooley, I'll talk about that. There may be a situation there. I can't speak to that right now, and I apologize. It's all too fresh. But I can tell you that if Cooley's in, he's a starter. And if you have to have Halsey sit out, you've got basically three options. You've got Deshaun Spears, you've got Javian Toviano, and you've got Jarvin Gilbert. Gilbert was a starting safety for you last year, obviously. Didn't participate in the spring with a shoulder injury. He has, after starting with the safeties in camp, has moved down to the star position where he's backing up Harold Perkins. So he hasn't played safety now the last 3 weeks. He's played it his whole college career, so he can go back there and do it. But he hasn't done it the last 3 weeks. And I'm telling you that last week, if they were preparing for Clemson, you did not see Jarvin Gilbert playing safety. He would have been backing up at star because this is new information to LSU. Deshaun Spears and Javian Toviano have been back there playing safety. Here's what I think. I think that A.J. Halsey is LSU's best safety by a long shot. I think he is clearly the best safety on this roster. That has a little bit to do with fall camp, like a smidge, but mainly has to do with the fact that he's been a terror for 3 years. He was first team All Big 12 unanimously. Coaches, AP, Phil Steele, everybody that was giving out first team All Big 12, he got it last year. The year before that, he was the Big 12 newcomer of the year at safety. The year before that, he was unbelievable as a freshman playing safety for New Mexico, made 24 tackles in a game. I'm basing off the 3 years he's played that are significantly better than anybody else on this roster has played. And now I realize he hasn't been doing it in the SEC, But he is big, he is physical, he is fast, he makes a ton of tackles, he makes plays on the ball, was, I think, second in the Big 12 in interceptions last year. Like, he is the best safety by a country mile. If he can't play for the first half, you are compromised at safety. You are not as compromised as you would be this past year or years prior. You have depth. Deshaun Spears is a second-year player. Javian Toviano is a third-year player. Jordan Gilbert is a fourth-year player who has been a 3-year starter in the SEC. So you have some guys that have played. I just think you would take a step back. Do I think this is a big deal if he is suspended? If he's not, of course it's not. We just get on with our lives. You play the game. Do I think it's a big deal? I do. I think not having one of your best defensive players on the field at a position where you were awful last year is a big deal. You've got a veteran quarterback, stud wide receivers, a lot of ground to cover, a mobile quarterback. Like, this is a game that you need to have A.J. Halsey in at full speed. I think he probably leads LSU in tackles on Saturday if he plays the full game. Like, that's the kind of impact I think A.J. Halsey will have on this team this year. I just don't know what the first half holds. And at this point, right here, as I sit here at 1:10 on Thursday, less than 24 hours before they get on a plane, I don't think LSU's 100% sure what's going to happen. But again, you're healthy, you're deep, and you have been rotating safeties for a month. Now, that rotation at the starting spot has stopped the last 2 weeks. It's been Cooley and Halsey for 2 weeks. But the other guys have gotten a lot of reps. So they do have a little bit of time. This wasn't sprung on them on Saturday morning, but it is, 48 hours to 52 hours or so before kickoff, and you have this pop up. This was brought to the attention of the NCAA outside of the SEC and LSU, and we'll see what comes of it. I wish I could give you black and white facts of the outcome here. All I can give you are the nuts and bolts of this from the rule book and what I see in the box score. Right now, I feel like A.J. Halsey is going to be able to play in the first half based on what I'm reading. But I can see if they go back and check and they do determine it was actually fighting, then he's going to have to miss the first half. That's cut and dried. It's right in the rule book. So I think he's going to be okay. It is going to be something to monitor. It will be a story. And to me, this is something that can be absolutely 100% ironed out in the course of 2.5 hours. If somebody's at the gym or taking a nap that was involved in the game in Provo and can't answer their phone in the first hour, okay. But you ought to be able to get the official, the conferences, everybody on the horn in the course of 2 hours and determine what he was ejected for. And once you figure that out, and I don't need you to go figure out what he should be ejected for. I need to know what he was ejected for that very moment. And once you get to the root of that, whether that's the official, whether that's the Big 12, whoever has that information needs to bring it forth, and that's the end of it. There shouldn't be an appeal. The rule is clear. This was either a fighting ejection or an unsportsmanlike conduct ejection. I don't need to know whether or not it was warranted. I just need to know what happened. And once you have that, this shouldn't drag on. So I can't, to me, if this came to everyone's attention at somewhere just beyond noon on Thursday, by the time Brian Kelly meets with the media this evening, this should be ironed out. I don't see where there should be a lot of gray area here. But, I can't give you the result. So it's certainly worth monitoring, and we'll let you know if we hear anything over the course of the next 2 hours. Maybe Matt has something because he doesn't finish for another 5. We'll see. But we'll keep you posted as best we can tell. I'm going to dive into the Tamarcus Cooley stuff over the course of the show and see if I can figure something out on that front. But the Halsey thing is first and foremost here. So we got that information to you. We'll have a story up at LouisianaSports.net here very, very shortly. All right, that's that. That's the Genesis opening drive. Let's go ahead and step aside. When we come back, let's talk about some things that don't involve ejections. Let's talk some matchups. LSU and Clemson. What am I going to be looking for coming up on Saturday night? We'll do it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club. I love telling you about Swing Easy Golf Club because I like going to Swing Easy Golf Club. It's right there on Segan near Perkins. If you're a golfer, no matter if you're recreational or progressing into the high school ranks, no matter if you think you're a scratch player or you're just a beginner, Swing Easy Golf is for you. You can go in and work on your game. You can get on the driving range setting. You can see your swing, your club face at impact. You can see your carry distance. You can see where the ball slices, where it hooks, where it goes straight if you got it dialed in that day. Or It's a great place to just have some fun and cut loose. You can have a couple of beers in there, have a glass of wine in there, bring some friends in there, watch football, got gorgeous TVs and seating, all in some private bays that you can play some famous courses from around the world on the simulator. It's a ton of fun. A bunch of us from Guarantee went over there last week and hit some balls around. Played pretty famous course over there in Georgia, but you can play Bethpage Black in advance of the Ryder Cup if you want to. Awesome stuff over there at Swing Easy Golf Club, as I mentioned, on Segan, right there at Perkins. Check out online. You can get tee times available, book them there, or look into some membership options at swingeasygcbr.com. That's Swing Easy Golf Club here in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I'm Gabrielle McLeod on behalf of the Louisiana Propane Dealers. I have spent hundreds of hours preparing for scholarship competitions. That preparation paid off when I won the Fitness and Talent Awards along with the title of Miss Louisiana. The Louisiana Propane Dealers are also pretty talented and want you to be prepared for when the power goes out. Visit LouisianaPropane.com to find out about propane generators and other safety tips. Louisiana Propane, it truly is the fuel for our future.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Our Thursday show is always brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I love telling you about Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef because it's awesome. We've had it in the Palmer house, the ground beef, phenomenal for burgers. I cooked a big old ribeye about 3 weeks ago. It was just an A+. It's some of the finest beef in the country, and it's right here, just outside of Baton Rouge. You can visit the farm, and Sean Sagrera wants you to visit the farm. He wants you to go check it out. He wants you to see what you're buying. You can pick out the beef that you buy, and I can promise you it's going to be prime. We've gone through these scores before. You're talking about select beef, 0 to 3 on that intermuscular fat score. You're talking about choice, that's 3 to 8. If you're talking about prime, That's 9+ on the IMF score. Sean's beef, he knows. This is not a guess. They've had ultrasounds done on the cattle that's out there on the farm right now. It's 12, 15, 17, 19, up to 20 on the IMF score. This is some of the finest marbled beef you will find. So if you're looking to get some steaks on the grill for game day, if you're looking to have a freezer full of that delicious prime Angus beef that you don't have to question where it came from or how many DNA are in your packet, or you don't have to worry about steroids being used or improper antibiotics. Nope. Just right here in Baton Rouge, some of the finest beef around. Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I give you Sean's number every single week. That's who you call. It's pretty simple. You call the guy who owns the farm. You go visit the farm. You pick out your beef. It's Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. You can call Sean. Pretty easy number to figure out here. He's in the 225 right here in Ethel's where the farm is. You can go check him out. 225-719-1723. Again, 225-719-1723. Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. All right, let's talk some football on the field here. I wrote a story for LouisianaSports.net today that talks about the three matchups I'm curious to watch here with LSU and Clemson. And to me, it starts in the most obvious place. And so I'm not going to belabor this point, but I am going to bring it up to you. It's Clemson's defensive line against LSU's offensive line. And you know this by now. So again, I'm going to get to the two other ones and spend some more time on it. But Peter Woods is big and disruptive. His statistics aren't crazy, but there's a reason the scouts like him so much. He's 315 pounds, and he's really quick, and he can cause some problems on the interior. TJ Parker is a game wrecker on the edge. Against Pitt last year, they just simply couldn't block him, and he took over the game. He had 5 TFLs and 4 sacks in that game. That's a guy on the edge. I'm curious to see how Tyree Adams and Weston Davis deal with him. You got some help from Braylon Moore on the inside with Peter Woods, but you also have to worry about Will Helt, who's the rush in from Purdue that's transferred in. They had a 5-sack season for Purdue last year that is 6'6" and rangy, and with a lot of eyes on Woods and Parker, maybe Helt gets rolling a little bit. To me, this is the biggest matchup in the game, so I can't just bypass it. I feel like if LSU holds its own here, that LSU will be just fine. You just can't let them annihilate you in the middle so that Nussmeier can't step up. You can't let him make a strip sack that creates a 12-yard field for the Clemson offense. You can't get beat in game-changing fashion by these guys. They get a sack here or there, you'll live. First down sack of 8 yards, yeah, it's bad. You're in 2nd and 18. But it's not, that's a one-time thing. What can't happen is just a consistent push in the middle of that offensive line where Nussmeier can't step up, he can't operate, and you can't win on the outside where I think your advantage is. That's, to me, the biggest matchup on the field. There is NFL talent all over the place on both offenses and both defenses. I still think there's no more crucial matchup than LSU holding its own on the offensive line against this Clemson defensive line. But you already know that, and we've talked about it. So let's get to the others that I wrote about. This one is interesting. It's Clemson's wide receivers against LSU's defensive backs. Antonio Williams is lightning quick. He had 904 yards last year. He's always open. He's a handful. Then you got the two guys that were freshmen last year that had great freshman campaigns. TJ Moore, big physical body, 6'3", goes up, makes contested catches. He's their big body guy. And then you've got a deep threat in Bryant Wesco, who averaged 17.5 yards a catch last year to lead the team. He makes a lot of big plays down the field. They got 3 dudes that are really good. I think the matchup between those 3 guys and LSU's DBs is massive. You heard me talk on Tuesday of this week about LSU and their inability to cover in these openers. Miller Moss and Jordan Travis, 75% completion, about 360 yards per game. That's just getting annihilated. And I saw the harbinger for that in fall camp both years. I have not seen the harbinger for that this year. I have seen LSU's defensive backs make consistent plays on the ball against a really good receiving core in practice. I know that Aaron Anderson's good. I know that Chris Hilton is good. I know that Barian Brown is good. I know that Kyle Parker can make some plays. I know Nick Anderson's been a star. And LSU has covered those guys at times in practice. They didn't cover anybody the last 2 years. So Ashton Stamps, Mansour Delane, P.J. Woodland, DJ Pickett, these guys have put up a fight against LSU receivers in camp. They've got to put up a fight against Clemson guys. I think that LSU will hold its own at the point of attack with that defensive front. I think they'll win some defensive front. Clemson's offensive line is very veteran and very good, but LSU's going to hold its own at the front. If the matchup in the back end tilts LSU's way, then you start to see a window where LSU can dominate the game defensively. It's a big if. Klubnik's really good, and those three receivers I just told you about are really, really good. And shutting them down is not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. But can you make things tough on them? Can you make a couple of big plays on the ball? Can you be sticky on third down and force a punt? Can you get your hands on an interception to create a short field and change the game? Didn't happen the last two openers. Couldn't do it against Jordan Travis and Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson and those guys. Couldn't do it against Miller Moss and Zachariah Branch and Mekhi Lemon last year. Couldn't do it. If you can do it this year against TJ Moore and against Bryant Wesco and against Antonio Williams, well, could change the outcome. I think it is huge how well LSU handles itself in the secondary in this game. Massive, massive matchup to watch. And the third one, I talked about a little bit last week. Did a segment last week about LSU's special teams specifically. And I talked about having Davian Ramos back. 7th most accurate kicker in LSU history. 4th year handling kicks. Been here Brian Kelly's entire time. Had a better year last year from distance than he had previously. Made one over 50 yards. You went and addressed your punter situation, which was terrible last year. But you went to Middle Tennessee and you got Grant Chadwick. And he looks good in camp. I think he'll be just fine. And then you go to your returners, which are elite. Berrien Brown, elite. Xavion Thomas, elite. I think that gives you a really, really stout special teams unit. How about the other side? Well, Clemson had some problems last year. And by problems, I mean big problems. Listen to this number. It's mind-blowing. Clemson had 6 field goals blocked last year. 6. Now, I would suggest, with basically no knowledge on how to handle a field goal block, that you could fix that in an offseason. You could fix a massive problem with getting field goals blocked in an offseason. But I was doing a spot in South Carolina with a local radio station up there, and I asked them, how do you get 6 field goals blocked? I said, well, they had a huge problem on the offensive right side. They could not block anybody. And teams started attacking it, and they just couldn't fix it. I would tend to agree that you could probably fix it in offseason, but we'll see. It still is a big issue. And oh, by the way, Dabo Swinney was asked about the punters earlier this week, and he said, well, some days they're really good, sometimes they're not. And he did go on to add that they may have to just see how pregame warmups go to decide between 3 different punters. So while Clemson does have a really talented field goal kicker who was set the high school record for field goals made, that's a big record to set, and then did a really good job last year when his balls got airborne. When it got blocked, not so great. But when he didn't have 6 of them blocked, he was really good. And he made a 56-yarder to win the ACC championship game. So that is an encouraging sign for Clemson. But having 6 blocked is a big red flag. LSU, to me on paper, looks like the better special teams unit. Clemson's got issues. They got issues at punter, and they've got issues keeping field goals blocked up. So I look at this and I go, that is an area of this game that we haven't spent any time really thinking about, but I think it's a big deal. So to me, number one, first and foremost, huge. LSU's offensive line holding its own against the talent of Clemson's defensive line. And hey, it's fair if you're an LSU fan and you want to sit there and you go, I'm tired of hearing about Clemson's defensive line. This is a group that allowed the Citadel to run for 288 and Texas to run for 292 and Louisville to run all over them inside Clemson Stadium and North Sellers to run all over the place. Like, yeah, all that's true. They did. Same guys. Peter Woods was out there. Parker was out there. Woodaz was out there. Like, same guys. And those teams had their way with them. But I don't necessarily trust that LSU is equipped to go out there and just run it down Clemson's throat. That will surprise me if it happens. But most importantly, don't let them wreck the game. That's number one. Number two, if LSU can cover, it could be tough sledding for Clemson's offense. Big if. Big if. These are the ifs that I think determine the game. So it makes sense that they're big ifs. And then you got special teams. You're on the road. You're an underdog. A lot of talent on both sides. Veteran quarterbacks on both sides. Is it a field position deal? Do you get a situation where it's fourth down from the 11 and Clemson shanks a punt and you get it at the 20 because they just cold shanked it out of bounds? That's a big play in the game. Is it a blocked field goal? Is it a game-changing return? We already know that Clemson's not going to get a chance to return kickoffs because Aaron Burrell is going to kick it in the third row. Big special teams advantage. Do you get a big punt return? Does one of their punters doesn't shank it, but he kicks a low one? There's Xavion Thomas. Does he make a play? I think these are big-time potential factors in this game. And I went a little bit more in-depth with them on LouisianaSports.net. If you'd like to read it, you can for free on the LSU page. So let's move forward. We got still tons to do over the next 90 minutes here. It's a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, closet space may not feel important all the time, but until you realize that it's not great, you don't know. And my wife moved in, she's girlfriend at the time, and she looks around and goes, "This is it?" I said, "Yeah, this is the closet situation." "Well, this isn't going to work." And so we had to put some stuff in the hallway, had to throw some coats in the attic, had stuff in the baby's room at the time. Like, it was a bad situation. So when we moved, we prioritized closet space. You may be locked into a great interest rate. You don't want to move. Got a great neighborhood, great spot for you, but the closet space is an issue. David and his team can customize a closet to your specifications, no matter what you got. You want the wife to fill out a questionnaire that says how many pair of shoes she's got so they know how big to build the shelves? They can do that. Customize exactly to what you need. It'll look great. It'll function well. It'll make life easier on you. It's One Bath and Closets. Find the website, onebathandclosets.com. Get that free consultation today. Onebathandclosets.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Got to make my Missouri pick coming up in the next segment. Got to have my SEC picks all season long. Missouri plays tonight. I'll give you a Missouri pick before the end of the hour. Luke Johnson straight up 2 o'clock from Saints Camp. Chris Blair 2:15. So lots to do over the course of the next half hour. Appreciate you hanging out with us. We're working towards the weekend. It feels like we're getting really close to a little bit of football here. It's a big football weekend starting tonight. I don't know if Boise State, South Florida is really going to get me going tonight. I got to go watch the Shark Dogs practice anyway on the soccer pitch, so check that out. But and then tonight, Cincinnati and Nebraska. I think that's right.
Correct.
It just
my Ohio Bobcats are playing today at 5 o'clock.
Wow, you're a big Ohio fan. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I can tell that
taking on Rutgers.
Huge. The Scarlet Knights, tough team.
Yep.
Coach Schiano really got him coached up. I mean, look, I'm all in for Auburn Baylor tomorrow. Like, just absolutely dunk me in the pool. I'm excited about that. Cincinnati, Nebraska, I could take it or leave. It just doesn't move my needle. So we'll see. Might be a night that I don't watch a lot of football, and then start it up tomorrow and certainly Saturday all in. And then I can't wait to watch football on Sunday with the Monday holiday. We like that. So we'll get you a Missouri pick coming up here. Cade Klubnik, Missouri. Clemson starting quarterback, met with the media earlier this week. I believe it was yesterday. And we got some sound here that I want to play. Y'all are all very much aware that LSU has gotten beat in 5 straight openers, right? You're all very much aware of that. Clemson has lost their last 2 openers as well. Got dusted by Georgia last year and got dusted by Duke the year before that. Cade Klubnik kind of talked about what's got to be different after you lost 2 straight.
You know, we don't have to do too much. I think sometimes you go into a first game and you feel like you got to go do all this insane, crazy plays and go make all this wild stuff happen. But at the end of the day, you just got to do the routine plays and do them really well and be smart, be efficient, and just go rip it and just have fun.
I got asked on Shreveport Radio. I do a Shreveport radio spot every Wednesday evening with 2 guys who despise LSU to their very core.
As of course you are a Shreveport, one of the most famous people from Shreveport
no
at this
question.
point.
So basically, me, Sam Burns,
Jordan Davis.
That's
about it.
Yeah. No, Kix Brooks.
Yeah, well, isn't Jared Leto and his brother from Bossier? They're from Bossier, right?
I don't
It's
know
different.
who Jared Leto is.
Oh, you don't know the actor? He's in a band.
Not a
kind of
clue.
famous.
Got nothing on that.
All right, All right, go ahead.
So I'm clearly more famous than him.
Yes.
Dozens of people watch me on YouTube every day. So basically, eat your heart out. So as far as the Shreveport talk show, they said, is LSU making too big a deal about this? And I was like, I don't think so. Like, what are they going to? They're not going to play well because they had stuff in their locker room. Like, they're not going to be able to respond against Louisiana Tech. I think the teams are going to be fired up and ready to play. And I don't think anybody's going to try any harder because they did or didn't have stuff in the weight room. To me, that's just kind of outside stuff that doesn't really matter all that much. And Klubnik kind of feels the same way. What does he see from LSU's defense? Here's what Cade Klubnik had to say.
They're explosive. They've got a great veteran core, especially in the linebacker room, with Weeks and Perkins and, Weeks again. So, they got guys that have played a lot of ball, and they're smart, they're physical, they're relentless. They're hauling ass, to go get the ball every single play, and, they love the game. I mean, they're smart, and you can see it in the way that they play. They're very well coached, not making a lot of middle errors. They're in the right spot and in the right places at all times. So it'll definitely be a fun challenge for us.
Cade Klubnik could be a coach. I mean, that was an absolute nothing burger.
Yeah, he's like Nuss.
It is. I mean, it's just, they're run to the ball, aggressive, well coached, don't make a lot of mistakes, just ripping off cliche after cliche there on LSU's defense. So if he's going to throw flowers to the defense, might as well throw flowers at Garrett Nussmeier. Let's see what Cade Klubnik had to say about his counterpart on Saturday?
Playing behind Jaden, wait until his really fourth year to start. Got a ton of respect for that. And, he's a heck of a player. And, I love, watching him last year, just his anticipation on throws, the way he leads his guys, when we were at Manning, the LSU receivers come over and being able to watch them and the way he leads them and his relationship with them was really cool to see. And you can just tell that, his teammates really love him. And but he's a heck of a player, and, I love watching him play, yeah.
That was a little bit better. Gave me some context there. LSU receivers really like him. He thought there's some good anticipation throws.
Still got heck of a player in there. That's a classic.
That's a Nuss line there as well. But look, I think those two guys are going to be on center stage on Saturday, and those two guys are going to be high NFL draft picks. And they're really good players, and I think that either team probably feels okay down 4 or 5 points with 3 minutes to go, because you feel like you got a guy who's kind of been through it and can go out there and find a way to make plays late. Nussmeier certainly did it against Ole Miss last year. Klubnik helped him get into field goal range to win the ACC last year. I think these guys are going to be really good players. And one of the things he mentioned, Klubnik did about Nussmeier, is playing behind Jaden, sticking it out, and he has a lot of respect for that. And Klubnik got on the field a lot as a freshman. DJU was the quarterback, but he played in 10 games, started the last game of the season, played really well in that game, was the AC Championship game MVP, and decided that after some bumpy times, he was going to stay. If you heard our interview with the Clemson radio host yesterday, he was talking about, there was a serious conversation about whether Cade Klubnik wanted to be here further after the bumpy start to his career. It just wasn't the high-flying 5-star takeoff tour that Trevor Lawrence was on. So Klubnik talked about his decision to stick with Clemson.
I mean, this is just, in my mind, the best place to get better. So I was in a scenario where I was playing early, and I knew that I needed to get better, and this was the place to do it. We had great people around me, an incredible coaching staff, a coaching staff that have put together great quarterbacks before me, great offenses around me. So this is a place I knew I needed to get better, and it's really simple as that.
I think that's pretty reasonable. You got a good offensive coordinator in Garrett Riley. You've got an amazing supporting cast that's got really veteran offensive linemen and 3 great receivers. Running back, they'll see what they've got, but I think he's right on with that. And so this last cut talks about the challenge of treating it just like any other game. I'll let Cade Klubnik talk about it, and then I have 2 different sides to this coin that I want to get to. So this is Cade Klubnik on not making this game too big.
I feel like we faced it last year too. I feel like we're kind of used to that. It's another game. And it's a huge game, but so is week 3, and because when it really comes down to it, it's going to be a number on your record. It's going to just be another tally. So we got to go take care of business this week. Coach Swinney's going to say it every single week, but we're playing Clemson. So we got to, take care of business and do what we do, take care of the ball, get takeaways, be efficient, make the routine plays routinely. I think we have a really good plan going into it.
And look, there's a lot of truth to that. I have 2 thoughts on it. One, I have talked to multiple players from the 2011 team, Brandon Taylor being one of them, that talked about the camp that they had with Eyes on Oregon and how they trained harder. They just felt like it got them into gear with a total focus and goal on being ready to play in that first game. And we'll never know whether or not doing that and then losing is more detrimental than it would be if you just went out there and treated it, quote unquote, like another game and lost, because they won. But we know that they trained and they were getting ready for that tempo that Oregon ran, which at that time was trailblazing, and it got them into shape, it got them ready to go, and they went out and played a great game and dominated Oregon. And I can hear that side of the coin for this team. Like, hey, they've been focused, they've taken things a little bit more seriously. They've done some things differently as far as the last 3 weeks with practice schedules, practicing at night so they can get ready for a 7:30 first kickoff. And that all sounds great. And if you want to play devil's advocate, like the guys on Shreveport Radio last night who want to say, hey, these guys are putting too much emphasis on it. They're going to try too hard. They're going to play tight. And then once they lose, they won't be able to recover from that because they felt like their whole season was aimed at one thing and that's over and the goal's gone. You can look at it either way. I don't know that either is right or wrong at this point because we hadn't seen the result. I can tell you what my gut feeling is on it. My gut feeling is they put a lot of work and preparation into getting ready for this game. They're going to be ready to play, focused. They're going to come out and play extremely hard. They're playing a really good team on the road. If they win, it will be an absolute boon for not only this team, but the program as a whole to finally get that monkey off their back with the season opening win and to get into a game where they'll beat Louisiana Tech by 40 next week and then get into conference play with an unbeaten record, and they'll really feel like they've got a chance to do something special this year. If they lose, I don't think they'll just throw up their hands and quit against Louisiana Tech. I think they'll go out there and beat them by 40, and then they'll go play Florida. That's my take on it. So I just don't buy the notion that you're going to make this game, quote unquote, too big. You can say that about the Alabama game 15 years ago. I don't really buy that one either. But it's an inexact thing that you're trying to measure. I think this is fine both directions. Clemson has downplayed everything. Talked about it playing Clemson, being the next week, next game. Like, that's all fine. And LSU said, hey, we want to go 1-0 this year. That's fine too. I don't think it's going to make a material difference on the scoreboard come Saturday. That's just my take on the situation. Certainly, Cade Klubnik toeing the company line, as his coach would have him do. So that's some sound from Clemson's starting quarterback. All right, we'll come back and close out hour number 1. It's a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. Go by and see them. Airline at Pico. I tell you this every week. You're talking about a first-class facility. From the ambiance to the smells to the sounds to the people that greet you. It feels like you're in a spa, not a car dealership. It's quiet. It's comfortable. They're welcoming. They're going to treat you like a guest, not a customer. If you've been on a car lot, felt like you were getting pressured, felt like you were being taken advantage of, felt like you were being upsold, never going to happen at Genesis. They're just there to help. Most of you haven't been behind the wheel of a Genesis. It's a luxury brand. Go by and see them. When you say luxury, don't think, I can't afford that. You won't know until you go check it out. It's Airline at Pico. You can find the entire inventory at GenesisOfBatonRouge.com. Tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you in, and get behind the wheel of a GV80 while you're at it. It's a great, great SUV. Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them online. GenesisOfBatonRouge.com.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item, we prominently feature it in social media, on our website, but we do it because it's the right thing to do for the community.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here. Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Every year I run a season-long SEC pick'em against the number. The last 2 years I have been shockingly close to 500. I believe 1 game over 2 years ago and 2 games under last year.
That's correct.
So you're talking about a 2-year run where I'm 1 game under 500. You can take that for what it's worth. Some would say that's a pretty good record. Some would say you got to pick it up a little bit.
Some would say that's shockingly average.
Yeah. It's a coin flip. They're 50-50, and I have managed to walk that line for the last 2 years. So we got to get started today because Missouri starts tonight with Central Arkansas. I've done expansive research on the Central Arkansas Bears. Last year, got off to a great start. They were 6-2. Had just beaten North Alabama, and then they really hit the skids. Lost to Utah Tech, 34-21. Lost to Eastern Kentucky, 31-24. Lost to Southern Utah, 38-31. And then got smoked by Tarleton State. I had never heard of Tarleton State until my cousin's daughter decided to go there like a month ago. So that's not a great look to have that on the schedule. This is a matchup of an SEC team against a team that is in the FCS. So what do we think about a monster number in this case that's pushing 40 points? I guess for the sake of this discussion, we'll call the number as they do on ESPN currently at 39.5. It just feels like to me Missouri can name their score in a game against an FCS team that can't beat Tarleton State or Western Utah or whatever I just said that I forgot already. I realize that's a transfer portal era, and last year's team doesn't mean a lot for this year's team. But Eli wears a bit of a chip on his shoulder consistently. I know I went with this in a pick that didn't matter last week with Dan Mullen, UNLV, and that didn't work. They almost lost. But I'll go ahead and take Missouri and lay the 39.5. Feels like they might score 60. That's kind of what happens when you got a middling team that's looking to prove a point that gets a overmatched team on its home field. I think Missouri's taken this opportunity to showcase its program. That's why they're playing on Thursday. It's got to be. They've done it a couple of years in a row. I don't think Missouri's going to be great this year. Their schedule is just incredibly forgiving for an SEC slate. So I'll go ahead and take Missouri. I think they win this one something like 52-7 or something. That covers the 39.5 rather comfortably. So I'll take it without a huge degree of confidence. How do we feel back there, Beck?
Yeah, last year, I'm just looking at last year, they played Murray State in their opening game, another FCS game. They won 51-0. So that seems like a pretty reasonable
Luther
outcome.
Burden, returning quarterback,
yeah,
maybe better. You know, you got probably 2 quarterbacks that are going to play a significant amount tonight. So it's a different team, a less proven team than having Brady Cook back there.
But it is a different team, but FCS teams are usually the same. They're usually really bad compared to the SEC. So.
Not competitive. So 39.5 is fairly light. I'll take Missouri, and hopefully I'll get off to a great start. Tomorrow, we will have Auburn as the front of our picks, and then we'll get into the rest of the teams in the Southeastern Conference as the weekend progresses. Things wrap up for the SEC on Sunday at 2 o'clock when South Carolina and Virginia Tech play in the Aflac kickoff against Virginia Tech. So that's it for hour number 1. We're brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. You're looking for ribeyes, You're looking for fillets, strip steaks, skirt steaks, flank steaks, chuck roast, ground beef, all of it from one cow, prime Angus beef, Sagrera Farms, right here outside of Baton Rouge. It's just a different way to buy your beef. They're doing things differently. You generally just head around the corner, grab something, not sure where it was raised, how many DNA are in that package, whether or not steroids or antibiotics were used. Do it differently. Go to Sagrera Farms, fill your freezer. Have it ready whenever you're ready to pull out that steak and get it on the grill as football season is upon us. Sagrera Farms, premium Angus beef, bring you our Thursday shows. If you missed any of our show today, top of the show, I talked about A.J. Halsey. If you're just getting in the car and missed this, there's been something raised on Twitter, and it's now been brought to the SEC and LSU's attention, that he was ejected from his last game at Houston with just under 3 minutes to go. Is he eligible for the first half against Clemson? I gave all my thoughts on it. Essentially, I think there's a good chance he is, but there's certainly a chance that he is not. I laid all that out at the top of the show. You can catch that. It's already on YouTube at Hunt on LSU if you want to check it out. We heard from Cade Klubnik. I gave you matchups to watch as well. Lots going on in that first hour. Let's transition to the Saints after Sports Center. We'll hear from Luke Johnson, who is at practice today. Chris Blair in 20 minutes. It's a Thursday edition. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
Today, we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Cowboy star edge rusher Micah Parsons getting a second opinion on his back 1 week before the NFL season opener against the Eagles. He hasn't practiced all summer amid his contract stalemate. There are a couple of ways this matter is finally resolved, explains ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano.
He could show up and play on his current contract. He could get a new contract. He could sit out, with the back issue, and he could get traded. I think those are all on the tables. I do think a trade is a stronger possibility than I would have given it credit for, say, a week ago when Dallas was telling everybody, no, he's a Cowboy, no, he's a Cowboy. Sounds like they're at least having some conversations that could lead that way.
Sources tell ESPN several teams have spoken to Dallas about a potential Parsons trade, and for the first time, the Cowboys appear willing to at least listen, and they would like to resolve things in the coming days. Afternoon baseball, Red Sox Orioles tied at 2, bottom 7. Boston currently holding the top AL wildcard spot. Major League leading Brewers trailing the Diamondbacks 3-2 top of the third, and the AL West leading Astros now have a 3-1 lead on the Rockies, bottom 3.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Friday, we're getting you set for week 1 of the college football season. Will Ohio State go back-to-back, or will a team like Texas put a stop to it? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
A magic beyond anything you could ever imagine.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day.
You really think that's the best idea?
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, this is Hunt Palmer.
It's quite a piece of work.
Hour 2, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Chris Blair, voice of the Tigers, be with us in 15 minutes. Chris spent some time at Clemson, so we'll talk to him about what LSU can expect from that atmosphere and talk a little football with Chris. Time to talk some Saints with Luke Johnson of The Advocate down there in New Orleans. Saints off the practice field, so let's get some time with Luke. We appreciate it. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. Let's talk about the decision to name Spencer Rattler the starting quarterback. You surprised? You thought that was coming? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, I thought it was coming. I thought that late in training camp, I thought Tyler Shuck was really making a push for the job. But by the time things wrapped up, I think it was still pretty clear that, taking the whole thing in totality, that Rattler had earned the opportunity to start. And I know a lot of people have kind of looked at that as saying, it's already a sign that, Tyler Shuck is a failed draft pick or whatnot. And I just think that's just kind of a load of BS, in my opinion. I mean, we see rookies fit early all the time. People do it with top 5 draft picks. They did it with Drake May last year, and he wasn't, suddenly like not a good player because he was sitting behind Jacoby Brissett. I mean, it's obviously a completely different situation with Spencer Rattler being a young player, with him being a 5th-round pick versus Tyler Shuck being a 2nd. But I think that his experience really helped him in that quarterback competition. I think we saw a different player this year than we saw last year. One who's more decisive, more confident, and he earned the shot. I don't think it's going to be like 17 games of Spencer Rattler this year, though. Especially if they struggle, like they got to see what they have in Tyler Shuck, because they might be right back in the quarterback business again next year if they don't feel like they have any great options. So it's there's some complicated parts to this, but I think it's the decision that we all expected them to make.
How do you feel like they handled the reps, the preseason games, and the timeline of the decision, and ultimately the decision they made?
I mean, it was all. I mean, from a rep standpoint, it was remarkably even. I think Spencer got a lot more time, or days rather, where he was like the first quarterback out, right? But they did a lot of, where it'd be days where, Spencer Rattler started with the ones, but then they'd do these long team periods where Shuck was working with the first team instead of Rattler. So when you looked at how it all evened out, like, they had a pretty similar amount of attempts, like pass attempts during training camp and the practices that we charted every single one of those. Very similar amount of work in the preseason. Obviously, Spencer got 2 starts versus 1 for Shuck, but you can't really avoid that with 3 preseason games. So, like, all in all, I think it was like they both got similar opportunities. As for the timing, I mean, yeah, they were the last team in the NFL to name a starting quarterback, but Spencer Rattler knows he's the guy with a week and a half before the regular season game. I think that's plenty of time. Sure, it would have been nice to have it known like before that last preseason game. You can really kind of start building from there. But like, I don't think they had to rush this. I think they played it right, and they gave themselves as much time as they needed to make the right decision and go from there.
How'd you feel about the moves on the roster, the 53?
I think they're a better team right now, than they were at the beginning of training camp. Right. I really, you can argue if you want with the price they paid for Devon Bailey, for the guy who's going to be 28, this year, giving up a 4th round pick. If they are picking in the top 5, that's like a top 105 pick next year. But like, if he goes out and gives you 60 catches for the next 3 years of his rookie contract, that seems like pretty good value for a 4th round pick. He adds like an element to this offense that they didn't have. And like, again, this is like something that we've talked about for years. Like, they needed to add something like that to this offense. And you can criticize them, and I have, for waiting until, 2 weeks before the season to address it and having to give up a draft pick for it. But they got a pretty good player out of that. They had a lot of injuries on the offensive line, particularly on the interior. They lost 3 of their kind of key depth pieces for the season to injuries. But like, I don't know how big a drop off there is between like Landon Young and Awesome Richards, who they traded for from the Cowboys. I don't know how big of a drop off there is from Will Clapp to Luke Fortner. I think they're in a position where, like most NFL teams, like they are hoping and praying their 5 makes it through the season mostly healthy. Offensive line depth is kind of an issue around the league, so they addressed it in the way they needed to, I think. So like, I'm saying all this stuff. I know I'm sounding kind of optimistic and maybe a little Pollyanna-ish about the Saints right now. I still don't think they're going to be very good this year, but I do like the direction they're heading, if that makes sense.
Was there a cut that surprised you?
Not really. I know the Isaiah Foskey one and the Jake Haener one, both got a lot of attention. I think neither of those were even remotely surprising, though. I think I'm more surprised than anything that Jake is back on the practice squad. He seemed like a player that could have used a kind of a fresh start. It's pretty clear here that there's like they use a 4th round draft pick on him, but there's 2 guys ahead of him in the pecking order who were both drafted after him. He's probably lost his opportunity forever here to be like a starting player for this franchise.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really surprised. I would have been like more surprised if they'd cut him last year. I mean, maybe there would have been a little bit more interest in him on the waiver wire, but like you had to think he was going to get through. Like, the fact of the matter is, like, he's been a very good player in practice at times, but like he's really never ever put it together in a game. Like, I don't think you have to really worry about another team putting a claim in on him. And even if they did, like I just said, like they've already kind of committed to the 2 guys they drafted after him. So I think a lot of the guys who were let go were guys that I was kind of expecting, even if there's, kind of some noise around it, like the Foskey thing, right? Like that was, I think, just pretty clearly like a whiff on a high draft pick on a player. But, it's saying something that he's not even back on the practice squad. Like I think they saw everything they needed to see out of him.
As far as the draft class goes from this past year, how do you feel that group performed in camp, and who realistically can help them this year? Obviously, beyond your left tackle Banks, which is obvious.
Yeah, I mean Banks is a stud. He's going to have some growth that needs to happen over the course of the season, but like the very early impression of him we got was really, really good. I think especially as a pass protector, I think they found an ace with him. I think they found some really nice contributing pieces. Danny Stutzman, I think, was really impressive. Obviously, he's kind of blocked on the field right now with DeMario and Pete, but if one of those guys goes down, he can give you, I think, pretty solid play there as a rookie. I was really impressed with Jonas Sanker, who, kind of like Stutzman is blocked, but he can contribute. I think they're going to find ways to get him on the field in 3 safety looks. Quincy Riley, another guy, I think probably going to need some seasoning, but you can see the really high level traits for him, especially when the ball's in the air. He's an aggressive player and he knows how to make plays in the ball, which I don't think is something you can say of all defensive backs. He's a guy who played center field in high school baseball. That shows up when he's out in the field. He can track the ball really well, makes plays on it. Vernon Broughton, I think, is probably did not come along as fast as they were hoping. They went out and got some veteran D-line pieces. I think they were kind of hoping he'd be a starting player for him. That's just not what it's going to be right away. But we'll kind of see how that goes. And yeah, I mean, look, they had a big draft class, and all those guys, with the exception of their last pick, Fadil Diggs, made the 53. So even though I think Banks, and obviously Tyler Shuck, we've talked about him ad nauseum, I think those two are probably the only two who are going to play major roles for the team this year. But I do think they found some guys who can help them in the future, and that's super important for this team because they have just for a long time, just a dearth of young impact players.
I know y'all generally do a media poll of how things are going to go this year. What's your thought on the record for the Saints this year? We'll get into actual game next week.
Yeah, I picked 6-11, and I was telling some people out here, I made that pick, like Jeff Duncan accumulates that list every year, and I sent him my record pick the very first day he sent that poll out 3 weeks ago, and I kind of wish I would have waited until the end of the preseason. So I'd probably go a little bit lower. I think the quarterback thing is gonna hold them back this year. I have a hard time seeing this offense kind of consistently score points enough to really consistently win games. But I still do feel really good about the direction for the future. I think this year is just going to be a wash. But I've been really impressed by Kellen Moore. I think Brandon Staley has the goods as a defensive coordinator. A lot of guys who fail as head coaches, they're defensive-minded head coaches. They go back in that coordinator role and they succeed. I think Staley's going to be one of those guys. And some of the other pieces are intriguing. I think they got good skill position players. I think they got potentially a really good offensive line. That's stuff that raises the floor, but it's just the quarterback play. I think it's just going to be way too inconsistent for them to really be a factor.
Perfectly reasonable. That's just a big hurdle to jump, but hopefully one of those guys steps forward and makes some plays. Is your alma mater going to get it done on Saturday night?
Yeah, man. Can they just please play Sam Houston week 1?
I would love
sometime. Just stop giving me a heart attack in week 1, or make me want to longingly look at the Crescent City connection from my house. No, I don't think they're going to get it done. I don't think they're going to get it done. But I do think maybe they could do the thing that they've done in the last couple of years, where they give me a little bit of hope for the playoff before they rip my heart out again in October. But we'll see.
We will certainly see. We'll talk about the Saints in a real game next week. Thanks, Luke.
Sounds good, buddy. See you.
@by Luke Johnson on Twitter for all your Saints news with us every Thursday. Appreciate a little bit of his time on this Thursday, which means you're brought to you by Sagrera Farms. When we come back, voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carver and his team, phenomenal folks to work with, especially if you're trying to get into a captive. If you are a business owner or you're in charge of the insurance at your company and you feel like you're paying a pretty penny, and you feel like your loss management is really good, your risk management is very good, your loss history is very good, well, you might fit into a captive. If your broker hasn't shown you a captive, they may not have access to a captive. But the Highland Insurance Group does, and they want to help you with that. It could be a game changer for your bottom line as far as insurance costs go. So if you're a business, you spend a lot on insurance, you'd like a more creative solution that you have not recently gotten, call Jonathan Carver, the Highland Insurance Group. Say, hey, tell me about this captive thing. Can we sit down and chat about it? They work with them every single day. You may be a fit, and it may be a game changer for you. It's the Highland Insurance Group. They're right here in Baton Rouge, but certainly you can find them online at highlandig.com. Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website, LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net, powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We typically think of stress as being bad for us. At Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, we are researching how certain types of stress, such as exercise, can be good for our immune health. By studying people under extreme stress, such as athletes, astronauts, service members, and first responders, we're learning how to improve the immune health of everyone. That's the power of research. That's the impact of champions. Together, we roar.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our...
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
It is game week. Looking for something to do this evening? Get on by TJ Ribs. Katie and Thruway, the Brian Kelly Show, coming at you 7 o'clock. You want to listen to it, you can on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. I know one guy will be there. Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, is with us on Thursdays. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris, how we doing?
Hey, hon, I'm doing good, man. Yeah, that's the plan, to be there at 7 o'clock tonight.
What are you going to ask the coach?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk a lot about Clemson. You know, last week we had kind of a, additional preseason show, kind of talking a lot about LSU. Having no game to go back and review for this season is going to give us an opportunity to really get some thoughts from Coach on what he sees when he sees this Clemson team. You know, we touched on it a little bit last week, which was mainly, the offense is pretty much intact as far as your playmakers are concerned. I know Clemson's at least reports out of the upstate of South Carolina says some offensive line, maybe some injuries there, not sure yet. But the defense obviously going to be different. We got a lot of the same players, but with Tom Allen taking over, we touched a little bit on that last week. But we'll dig in a little more about Clemson, and not only about Clemson, but what LSU's got to do with their personnel and their scheme to try to be successful Saturday night.
You do your Hearing Voices podcast with the opposing voice, and you got a chance to talk to the voice of Clemson earlier this week. What'd you learn about the vibes there upstate in South Carolina?
Yeah, they're pretty fired up. I mean, I asked him, I've got friends, obviously Don, who was our guest this week, Don Munson, was a mentor of mine. I worked with Don for 5 years over at Clemson. And I asked him, I said, look, I know what it's like. I was lucky enough to be at the Bowden Bowl, first one ever, Tommy and Papa Bowden. Years ago. I've been to several South Carolina Clemson games there at Memorial Stadium. I kind of asked him, what's the feeling like? It's not a neutral site game in a top 10 matchup. It's a home game. It's not South Carolina. Obviously, it's not Florida State. It doesn't have those things attached to it. But what about this matchup? And he said it's one they're anticipating. In fact, the stadium opened in 1942, I learned, and this is just the third time there's been a top 10 matchup. That's hard to believe, when you think about that to start the season. He said Coach Sweeney called for an orange out. We'll see if everybody complies. I'm just hoping there's a lot of little smatterings across the stadium of purple and gold, which I expect we'll see.
I've mentioned spent 5 years at Clemson. You kind of know what that town's about, what that stadium's about. What should LSU fans be expecting if they make the trip or if they're watching on television?
Well, I think obviously if LSU goes over there and takes care of business on, everybody will say it was a great road trip. If they don't, I don't know that there's anything any place can do that would take that bad taste out of their mouth. But I can tell you from a tailgating standpoint, it's a great place. I mean, it's a little different in the sense that it's an agricultural campus. It's kind of set out there outside of Greenville, outside of Anderson. Clemson's a very rural part of the state. So typically you can tailgate under trees and a lot of grass. Obviously the campus has grown. There's a lot of concrete, a lot of blacktop, new buildings, all of that. But it's a pretty cool place to tailgate, and they take it seriously. Not as big here as LSU, but, I would imagine there's going to be 83,000 in the stands. There'll probably be another 35,000, 40,000 that are just there that'll be outside just to be there at the event. So it's very similar to what LSU sees when they go on the road in the SEC. And that's one of the things I know you heard the players talk about this week in their media session. For those who haven't been there, they still kind of understand this is kind of what we do. When we play at Texas A&M, they get fired up. When we play at the Swamp, it's exciting. When we play at Alabama. So I don't think it's going to be anything that throws LSU off. It's just going to be a great atmosphere for college football. And as I said, if LSU goes over there, takes care of business, gets off to a 1-0 start, I imagine those who make the trip are going to say, hey, that was pretty cool. I wouldn't mind doing it again.
I want to talk about Garrett Nussmeier. We talk about the quote-unquote leap. What do you think he needs to have worked on and do a little bit better this year than he did last year?
Well, I know this is going to come as an epiphany to everybody listening, including yourself. Take those opportunities to run when they're there. I think if you look back at last year, Hunt, not that in and of itself would have changed some of the outcomes of games, but I know you've got a great photographic memory. You probably can tell me a couple of times where if he pulls and runs, it changes that particular drive and possibly changes that particular game. So I think that's kind of what me and everybody else is looking for, is if those opportunities are there. And goodness knows Garrett has talked about it. Coach Kelly has talked about it. So I expect him to do that. I just want him to be able to do that. I think about Joe Burrow in 18 and 19, really. I wouldn't say Joe was the fleetest of feet. I wouldn't say he was a powerful runner. I think he was able to take a hit. But I think when he did, the benefit was so monumental to then be able to open up that playbook again with all of the weapons he had. So that was the one thing we were missing last year. So I think he can really improve just his overall play by adding that dimension to the game. Obviously, I think his decision-making got better last year. I expect that it will get even better this year, being judicious with the football, knowing when to make the right throw, when the window is there and when it's not.
On the defensive side, do you sense confidence from Brian Kelly when he talks about his defense?
Yeah, I really do. And, I get that sense when you go to practice and you watch Blake Baker and you watch Kevin Peoples and you watch Corey Raymond. Again, they're on these guys. They're coaching them hard, but there's a lot of slapping of the helmets. There's a lot of high fives. And I think there's a reason for that. It's because they're doing what the coaches have asked them to do. And I think you've got young players and some players who may not be young last year, but didn't have a ton of experience at this level that are obviously going to be better. And then I think, again, as we've talked about last week, I think the transfer portal on the defensive side are giving you experienced players where now Blake Baker and the staff say, okay, guys, this is how we're going to scheme up defensively against Clemson. Here is your responsibility. And I think these players and the talent and the experience are going to allow them to go, okay, got it. Line up, let's do it.
I've got a lot of confidence in this defense. We'll see. They're getting put to a test against a really good offense coming up on Saturday night, but I think they're going to play really well, and I think it's going to be a fairly low-scoring game. Do you share that, or do you feel like these two quarterbacks are going to get into some sort of shootout?
Yeah, I'm going to take the easy answer here. I think that's a possibility. I look at Clemson's defense from a year ago, and I know Tom Allen is a new defensive coordinator. They struggled at times, especially against the run. So part of me thinks that, it could be a low-scoring affair because I think I like both defenses. But I got to be honest, I think when you look at them on paper and go back and look at film and then see the players who are going to be in purple and gold and orange and white on the offensive side of the football, I think it's going to be hard to keep these offenses down. I don't know that means it's a 45-42 ball game. But I think there's going to be some plays made on offense. I mean, this is a very good receiving core. I kind of think LSU's got 7 to 8 legit guys who could play at this level. I think Clemson, when you look at them, they've got legit 6 guys that could go anywhere at this level and play and contribute. And then I think both quarterbacks are very, very good. So I don't know that I can go totally with the low-scoring game. Depends on what you define as low-scoring.
I think it's going to be in the low 20s. I don't think either one of these defenses is going to let somebody score 35 points. That's my read on it early. I could be dead wrong. We thought it was going to be a track meet last year in Vegas, and it was not. So you never know. But I think these defenses are going to show up on Saturday night.
Touche.
All right, I know I'm going to have a guy sitting next to me in BT that's going to be talking about special teams, and I know you're going to have a guy standing next to you that likes to talk about special teams, and Jacob Hester. I feel great about where LSU is with special teams, from the returners, the new punter, place kicker, and the new coach they brought in, Amon Anon. And Clemson had some serious problems last year. They had 6 kicks blocked, and Gabo Sweeney said they're going to have to check out in warm-ups who the punter's going to be. So, is that a spot that you think LSU could find some benefit?
Yeah, that's the other thing that we are going to talk about LSU tonight on the show. I didn't get to it last night. Last week had so much stuff, but I did want to talk about the special teams, not just because we want to talk about them, but for the reasons you state. I think LSU has an advantage not only in this game, but I think they'll be even with the best special teams that they'll face the rest of the year, and that's because you've got a consistent guy in Damian Ramos. You got just an absolute boomer foot of Aaron Burrell on kickoffs. They're very pleased with Chadwick coming in, transferring in as punter. Even Aaron Burrell has done a pretty good job as a backup punter there. So I think from the kicking standpoint, you are going to have a new long snapper. All indications, at least to me, is they feel pretty good about it. So I think from the kicking standpoint, you'll be pretty good. Plus the fact that I'm pretty comfortable with Damian and have been 40 yards and in, but he's extended his range a little bit when it comes to field goals. So I think you're good there. And then when I look at, your receive and your return team, I mean, you're talking about Barrion Brown. He leads the leads the SEC and leads the NCAA right now with active players. He's got 5 kickoff returns for touchdowns. We saw Aaron Anderson last year. We saw Xavion Thomas. I mean, you've got some legit playmakers out there when they get the ball in their hands. So as long as they catch the football, I think they can make some magic things happen on special teams. And, in this day and age of college football, with all the changes in the rules with kickoffs, those things I think are getting fewer and far between. And suddenly you saw LSU come to life on a couple of occasions. So I think from a special team standpoint, both the guys kicking the ball and the guys fielding the ball, you got some playmakers.
Tonight, 7 o'clock, Brian Kelly Show from TJ Ribs. You can listen to it on your LSU Sports Radio Network affiliate, Eagle 98.1 here in Baton Rouge. And whole broadcast team going to be over there in Clemson, bringing the LSU and Clemson just after 6:50 on Saturday night. Chris will be there for all of it. Thanks, Chris.
You got it. Talk to you Saturday.
Sure will. That is Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers, incidentally. You can catch me, Brandon Taylor, and Marlon Favorite on the LSU Sports Radio Network pregame show coming up at 4:30 on Saturday, 1:30, Eagle 98.1 game day. Matt Musso and Charles Hannegriff from Rouse's. So 1:30 till after midnight, you can find us for LSU and Clemson over on Eagle 98.1. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come back and reset the A.J. Halsey news of the day. I want to talk about that again because we got recycling of audiences, so we'll reset that if you haven't heard about it. We'll do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. This is a labor of love that's kind of turned into a business. The Sagrera family has had a farm here just outside of Baton Rouge for decades and started raising some cattle. Sean Sagrera was like, I'm just not comfortable with the beef that I'm purchasing weekly. So I'm going to change it and do it my own way. And Sean did some research, ended up understanding the technology that goes into raising cattle, ended up selling off the cows that he had because they weren't the quality that he needed, started from scratch, and has built this into an unbelievable operation just outside of Baton Rouge. Sagrera Farms, and they've got cattle on their farm just outside Baton Rouge that is some of the finest beef in the country. You're talking about genetic engineering in a 3-year process that produces prime and consistent Angus beef. It's flank steaks, it's chuck roasts, it's fillets, it's ribeyes, it's ground beef. If you want your freezer full of delicious, flavorful, incredibly marbled, tender beef, Sagrera Farms is where you need to be. We all know that not so great steak we've had, and we know that great steak that we've had. If you want a great steak every time, Sagrera Farms can help you out with that. I give you Sean's number every single week. Just got to give him a call and go up to the farm and check it out. You can see the animal that you're buying, and you can bring it home and put it in that freezer. So you give Sean a call at 225-719-1723. Again, that's 225-719-1723. It's Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. And when you're cooking with clean, affordable propane, you're cooking with gas. In the wintertime, nothing heats a home like Louisiana propane. And when you need hot water, propane's got you covered. Oh, and you won't regret that propane generator when the power goes out. I'm Miss Louisiana, Gabrielle McLeod, and to find more information and to find a propane dealer near you, visit louisianapropane.com.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Today,
we are shaping tomorrow.
We are researching how extreme stress impacts the immune system, from trauma victims to athletes and even astronauts.
Our work is leading the way in sepsis treatment, saving countless lives.
We're unlocking the mind with music in exciting new ways.
Our Lady of the Lake Health and LSU are improving the health of our state.
That's the impact of champions.
Imagine the impact we'll have on the future. Together, we roar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized, it'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
We came up with the idea of auctions in August. Gulf Coast Bank does all the work. We display the item. We prominently feature it in social media. On
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Sagrera Farms.
All right, Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. I don't do this a lot, where I kind of do the same segment 2 times in a show. It's a 2-hour show, and so generally speaking, you want to fill it with fresh content. But this is breaking news as of today, and I feel like for those that were with us at 1 o'clock that are still here at 2:36, I very much appreciate you being here. If you heard the entire first segment, you're going to hear some things that have been rehashed at this point. And I apologize for that, but there are a lot. The vast majority of our audience that's listening right now was not here at 1 o'clock. So I'm going to relitigate the A.J. Halsey situation for those that are unfamiliar. A.J. Halsey was ejected from Houston's regular season finale against BYU last year. There were just under 3 minutes to go in the game. BYU's quarterback scored a touchdown, and in the back of the end zone, there was a scuffle. I don't know exactly what Halsey did in the scuffle. I have not seen that. But I do know that flags were thrown, and he was ejected from the game. The box score from that game says he was flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. And I'm reading the rule book here for college football. It says unsportsmanlike conduct, live ball fouls by players, and then it says flagrant offenders, if players or substitutes, shall be ejected. So one of the unsportsmanlike conduct rules is if you're flagrant, you can be ejected. And it says dead ball contact fouls such as pushing, shoving, striking, etc., that occur clearly after the ball is dead and are not part of the game action. So it stands to reason that would make a lot of sense. There is nothing in the rule book at this point for unsportsmanlike conduct that says that the player must sit out and be suspended for the first half of the next game if the foul occurs in the second half. Just like targeting. You target in the second half, you can't play the first half of the next game, right? There's nothing that says that about unsportsmanlike conduct, which is what the box score says. Now, for fighting, if you are ejected for fighting, the rule clearly states that fighting is an ejection for the remainder of the game and the first half of the next game. And then it continues, for fighting in the last game of a season, those with remaining eligibility shall serve suspensions during the first game of the next season for which they are eligible. That would apply to Halsey here. Houston did not play in a bowl game last year. So the regular season finale against BYU was it, and Halsey was ejected. So my take at the top of the show today was that if I'm reading this correctly, and I'm not interpreting incorrectly, that he was ejected for unsportsmanlike conduct, I don't believe a suspension is forthcoming. If it was fighting and the box score that I'm reading is incorrect, then he is suspended, and I don't think there's any gray area about it. Like, he was ejected. Whether you like the call or not, it happened. So, to throw a wrench in this, and this is something that I did not mention at the top of the show, one of the other ejections in the game was Darius Lassiter, BYU wide receiver. He was suspended for the first half of the Alamo Bowl. Now, when I read the news story about Lassiter's suspension, it says he was ejected for unsportsmanlike conduct. So I'm doing the best I can here to read the rules black and white. I said this at the top of the show. I reported this on LouisianaSports.net. LSU was unaware of this, and the SEC was unaware of this until very recently. And I believe that Clemson called this to the NCAA's attention. And I want to be pretty clear about that. I would do the same thing. It's not like they're uncovering some secret that LSU did. The guy got ejected from the game. The rule says if you get ejected for fighting, you're suspended. He's a starter. Like, I'd probably say the same thing. You can say that's tattletaling. You can say don't do that. Like, it's pretty clear. And it's not like it's a secret. It's not a recruiting violation or impermissible benefits. Now, you can look at Tristan Lee, who's on Clemson's offensive line. You understand some things that happened in Baton Rouge, and an offensive line coach that ended up suing the school because of it. And that rooted from Clemson as well. But, like, this is, like, public stuff. It's on national TV. The guy got ejected from the game. It's pretty easy to look up. I just didn't know about it. I can blame myself. Baton Rouge media can be like, yeah, we didn't look at, like, I didn't look at whether or not A.J. Halsey got flagged for targeting in their last game or got ejected from their last game. I had no idea. It's not in his bio. I looked at that a million times to write stories and to do segments on here. Like, I had no idea. But, like, this is not, like, malfeasance by Clemson in my estimation. Being like, hey, I think their safety got ejected. Y'all want to check on that? I don't find that to be unsportsmanlike behavior by Clemson. I find this to be a terrible break 2 days before the game for LSU if A.J. Halsey can't play in the first half. Because as I mentioned in the first segment of the show today, like, that's a big deal. He's really good. He's going to be a starter. I think he's going to be an all-league player. I think he's going to be an enforcer on LSU's defense. And if you don't have him in the first half, that hurts because the guy that you put in for him, in my opinion, is not going to be as good as A.J. Halsey. But this is, and I'll leave it at this for the rehashing of a segment that I did an hour and a half ago. I don't think this should take very long. Now, the NCAA is notorious for dragging their feet with eligibility stuff and red shirt stuff and all this kind of stuff that takes forever. This, to me, doesn't take a long time. You call the Big 12, you get the officiating group on the horn, you check the box score of the previous game. Why was A.J. Halsey ejected from the game? Was it for striking an opponent, which was unsportsmanlike conduct? I think he's fine. Was it for fighting? I think he's fine. Somebody's got to have record for that. And I believe if you're Clemson or LSU, if it says unsportsmanlike conduct, he's playing. Shut up. Let's play. If it says fighting, LSU, be quiet. He sits on the sideline until halftime. I don't see how this is going to be a controversial thing, and I don't see how it would take a long time to deal with. We've got 2 days to go before a game. This ought to be done in an hour and a half. Get it done. Figure out the ruling and get it enforced. It's a bad break for LSU if it's fighting and he's got to sit. And it's a bad precedent that's been set that BYU's player has been suspended for the first half of that bowl game, or was suspended for the first half of that bowl game. I don't know what the result is going to be. But certainly if something comes up, we'll let you know over the course of the next 3 hours and 15 minutes. Matt will have AFR until 6, and he can tell you. I will tell you this. Brian Kelly will be asked about this in about 3 hours, and he will have an answer. It may be we're looking into it, but he will be asked about this. This is not something that's some sort of secret. It just has come across everyone's radar, very recently. And BK will talk about it coming up at his press conference tonight after practice. Be a big loss for LSU. We'll see if that does come to pass. All right, that's resetting of the A.J. Halsey situation here as we get ready for LSU and Clemson. I am so fired up for tomorrow's show. Friday, game weekend, predictions, SEC gambling picks. Preston Guy will join us. Lots to chat about on Friday's show. But one more time, we'll come back and close out this Thursday edition of Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Every car on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Try the GV80. If you're got a family looking for an SUV, Genesis has not really ever been on your radar. It's understandable. They're fairly new to the game. Probably never been to the location, Airline at PQ either. Put it on your list. Go by and see them. Chat with their brand ambassador. If you're sitting there listening going, I'm not going to a car dealership. Hate it there. Well, you're not going to hate it at Genesis Baton Rouge, but you don't have to go. They'll come to you. You're at work, you want to test drive, they'll come to you. You're at home, want to test drive, they'll come to you. It's just part of the service. And then once you get into that vehicle and you purchase it, they'll handle your maintenance for 3 years for free as well, and they'll do that valet style. They'll come pick your vehicle up, handle the maintenance, bring it right back to you, and meanwhile, you'll have a loaner so you can get on about your day. It's great service. Great people, phenomenal facility, unbelievable line of vehicles, as safe as any car on the road. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go by and see them, Airline at PQ. Check out the entire inventory online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Parrish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parrishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parrishbuilt.com. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Segura Farms.
Thursday show is brought to you by Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef. Some of the best beef in the country, just outside of Baton Rouge here. Sagrera Farms in Ethel. Give Sean a call. Get some of that Sagrera Farms Premium Angus Beef in your freezer quickly for football season. You're going to want to get those steaks on the grill. Thinking of doing some Sagrera Farm burgers myself. Maybe Sunday evening, perhaps Monday, pre-show. On a holiday. We'll see. But we'll be here on Monday. We're here every single Labor Day. It's in the aftermath of an LSU football game. It has been the day after the last 3 years, because LSU had played on Sunday. Saturday night kickoff, so we do get 1 day of rest there on Sunday, but we'll be back at it on Monday, hopefully in a decent mood. Either way, on tomorrow's show, as I mentioned in the last segment, we'll have Preston Guy from TigerBait.com talking about LSU and Clemson. We'll pick the SEC games against the number. We'll give you my final pick for LSU and Clemson as well. So busy show tomorrow. Very, very, very much looking forward to that. Only one more order of business left on this Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. That, of course, is Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. Weekend's just about upon us. You're probably watching some football tonight, certainly Friday, and of course Saturday. If you're looking to pick up some cold beers, put in the fridge, put on ice this weekend, give Flight by Yingling a try. It's all the great things you love about light beer, which is 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. Knock a few back if you'd like to, and got that great beer taste from America's oldest brewery. Check out Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer.
Alrighty, first one here. The ESPN just released an article earlier today. I think this was Benjamin Solak that wrote it. Yes, Ben Solak. And he gave an X factor for every NFL team. You'll be interested to know that for the New Orleans Saints, he said Trevor Penning, which I was a bit surprised by. I would have probably expected it to be, well, he didn't probably know which quarterback it was going to be. You probably would have chosen them. But Trevor Penning as the X factor for the Saints. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. They certainly have an opportunity to get into a new contract if he decides to be a really good left guard. And that's a possibility. I wouldn't bet on it, but it's a possibility. X factor's got to be quarterback for the Saints. And then beyond Penning, I think it's some of the guys that are on rookie deals. They already have not picked up Penning's options. So, I mean, they can still certainly give him a new contract, but I think that's probably a little bit much there to suggest that he's the X factor on this team.
All right, next one. Apparently, the Dallas Cowboys are actually speaking to teams with the possibility of a trade for Micah Parsons, who has been embroiled in a contract dispute with Jerry Jones, of course.
Yes.
And no trade is imminent, apparently, but another team always could be aggressive enough to make it come together quickly, according to sources. The Cowboys trading Micah Parsons. Take it or leave it.
I will leave that.
Leave it alone.
That's a bad idea. He's one of the best defensive players in the NFL. You should probably keep him around. Same thing. The Bengals finally got a deal with Trey Hendrickson. Cowboys need to get a deal with Micah Parsons. I understand in a salary cap sport trying to jostle for position. But ultimately, when you get a guy that's that good, you need to just get the deal done. And that's what Jerry Jones generally doesn't do. He drags his feet. He makes people unhappy. He generates a lot of negative press. And then the Cowboys aren't very good. And I imagine that'll probably be the case again this year.
All right, last one here. NFL bettors are expected to wager approximately $30 billion on the NFL, just the NFL, with legal sports books in the United States, according to an estimate released Thursday by the American Gaming Association. $30 billion in bets on the NFL. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
If I've learned anything from being in this business now 100% for the last 4 or 5 years, it's that the NFL is a behemoth unlike anything else. It's so far and away trumps every other sport that we've got in this country. It's not even close. And gambling is a part of that. They just do a great job of staying relevant. So they're not going to catch any of my cash on the gambling wire. There's good reason for that. I gave out a hot Dan Mullen pick last week for him to cover at UNLV, and they didn't even get close. Somebody were tweeting at me about that. Like, there's a reason I place like 2 bets a year.
I mean, yeah,
I'm terrible at it.
Look, if you are going to Hunt Palmer for betting advice, then that's just on you.
I'm like 500 in SEC games. We talked
Yeah.
about that. Not bad.
Yeah, it is bad though because the juice, Hunt. You're losing money.
Well, it's not. It's losing, but it's not bad.
Well,
relatively
okay.
speaking,
That-
you don't,
yeah,
nobody's
sure.
nobody's 82%.
No, of course not. I guess that's true. It's not bad. It's just not good.
It's reasonable, and I understand that I'm not smarter than Vegas, and that I can't predict the happenings in sports. And I have my sincere thoughts that most people can't do that, if not all people can't do that. But some people would pull up numbers to try to prove me wrong.
Yes.
I just know my limitations, and they are very much that I can't outsmart Las Vegas and do not have enough disposable income to try. So I won't. But I'm very, very supportive of those of you that want to do that. I'll just do some other things with my time and cash and not gamble it away because ultimately I will lose it. I would rather play blackjack than watch a game with money on it.
And still lose that money as
I
well.
will lose that money too. Did not play very much in Omaha, just one night, and I lost.
Yeah, I was disappointed in you, Hunt.
real quick.
Disappointed.
At the Ameristar. All right, that's it for a Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand. We started with the A.J. Halsey news. In the second hour, talked to Luke Johnson about the Saints. You can find that at Hunt on Saints. Talked to Chris Blair about the Tigers. You can find that at Hunt on LSU. Also, gave 3 matchups to watch. If you want to listen to that, you can on demand. If you like to read about it, you can for free at LouisianaSports.net. I got a column over LouisianaSports.net. I'm excited for tomorrow's show. I got my pick coming. We're talking SEC football. It's almost game day. We're getting closer to the weekend. That's going to drive you home on AFR. See you tomorrow for Friday edition.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Looking for cleaner energy? Propane is energy for everyone. Propane water heaters are very